KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM. NBC News Radio.
The San Bernardino radio show. I'm Erin Brinker. So welcome. This is the Uplift San Bernardino radio show. I'm Erin Brinker, as it said in the intro to the show, and always says, I always repeat myself, so just want to make sure you remember. And we're talking about everything that is uplifting and exciting about San Bernardino County and the Inland Empire, because we are part of a greater community. And I'm not sure if you realize this, but San Bernardino, and I've talked about it before, is an inland port. Okay, so we see goods being moved back and forth. We see all the warehouses, but, and some of these goods are coming from overseas, but some of them are made here. They're made in Southern California. They're made in the Inland Empire. And the more of those we get, the better. I'm excited to welcome both of my guests today. I have Cinnamon Alvarez. She is an entrepreneur, a life coach, and the author of the best-selling book, Generating Your Own Happiness. In addition to being the multi-talented entrepreneur behind the manufacturing company A19 Artisan Lighting, Cinnamon has also founded an art gallery and owned a fitness franchise. She volunteers with SCORE and serves on the San Bernardino County Workforce Development Board. Little excites Cinnamon more than seeing others actualize their vision. I'm also talking to and welcoming Dennis Sonney. In his role now for the past 16 years, Dennis Sonney has worked within a nationwide network through the U.S. Department of Commerce, NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, to strengthen made in the USA products. While his team represents the nation, Dennis represents and supports the manufacturers, or makers, as he likes to call them, of the Inland Empire. Out of his passion to educate and inspire the next generation of students into manufacturing career opportunities, Dennis can be found speaking at high school career days, working on robotic and automation projects, writing grants, and leading manufacturing growth discussions as he helps shape the dialogue in San Bernardino County around the most pressing issues of that our makers face today. He sits on several nonprofit boards, two of which are STEM related, the Science, Education, and Technology Partnership, which is called STEP, and the Garner Holt Foundation. And if you've ever been to Disneyland, you know who Garner Holt is, because I think everything was built there, all of the animatronics and the robotics. Dennis and Cinnamon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have to admit, I'm just going to be really transparent. I thought manufacturing was dead in California, but you're here and you're saying, no, wait a minute. No, it's not. So kind of talk about, what does the landscape in California look like for manufacturers, or makers, as Dennis calls them?
Well, I'm going to jump in right away and say that California is projected to have the largest share of STEM jobs in 2022. So we've got like 9 out of the graph. We're way above the other states. The state below us would be Texas, then New York, then Florida. But California in itself is way above all of the other states in the nation. We've got over 38,000 manufacturing companies in California. We've got some really big manufacturers out here, lots of innovation out here. And out of those manufacturers, we've got 3,700 of those manufacturers right here in our backyards in the county of San Bernardino.
Yeah, which also equates to lots of jobs, if I can piggyback, because I'm excited since we're spitting out some numbers. 52,000 manufacturing jobs in San Bernardino County alone, and 91,000 just within the Inland Empire.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Opportunities, great jobs, really sought after product worldwide coming from California. So,
wow. And I see all these goods moving around, and, if we don't have to bring what we use and especially what we need for national security or for the public health or whatever, if that's manufactured here instead of overseas, that's better for everyone.
Absolutely. Our world depends on us to make items and to stay in tune with what our communities need today. Our economies rely on us to make to customer demand. And Erin, you may not know when you're driving around in the Inland Empire out in San Bernardino what all those what some may refer to as concrete boxes are, but they make all sorts of avionics and aerospace and all sorts of parts for us to just live our own lives. So I'm blessed to be in this industry and to be working with partners such as San Bernardino County and Cinnamon Alvarez, and supporting and also inspiring our next generation into these career paths, because mom and dad are not at home saying, hey, go son, go get a job, or daughter in manufacturing. They're not promoting those types of career paths. It's always go to college. And that's not necessarily the case when you want to get a really well-paid job in manufacturing.
So kind of talk about that a little bit. Cinnamon, I know that you make lighting, and I know bupkis about electronics or how to make lighting or, any of that. So if you're looking for someone who's just coming out of high school, or maybe they've done some community college and they want to get into to learn how to make things. Maybe they're a tinkerer. Maybe they like to make things. How do you find that right candidate? What does that candidate look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's every inner child. Like, who doesn't want to make things? The only classes we enjoyed in school were the ones where we got to make things. And then even as adults, we're going to Lowe's and Home Depot because we want to fix and make things.
It's true.
So, I mean, I call my company artisan manufacturing, because we really make things. We're making ceramics all day. So you think your pottery class, and we turn those into lighting fixtures.
So I grew up in the 70s. And I can remember a really, really ugly ashtray that I made for my father once. I mean, it was really ugly, but I loved doing it.
Well, imagine if you could make it really beautiful and then sell them worldwide. And that's what we get to do. Everything is designed and made. And it's interesting because I have a college education. Every job that is in any organization is available in the manufacturing industry. But I love that I get to make a living as a maker. There is nothing more rewarding than hands-on creating a finished product that you actually get to see and you hand off to someone. So to answer your question, if I circle back, what I'm looking for is someone who has really great attention to detail. That's the one thing that sometimes is missing that we really need for quality control. Because my company, especially, we're making like high-end design for interior design and architect products. And then in some industries, the STEM skills are really, really necessary. You could think of engineers for like Boeing, for example. We're in robotics and 3D printing, and there's so many cool things going on. So everything from handmade ceramics to, high-end required skills. And what's cool about where we are as a county and investing in manufacturing is you don't necessarily need the college education first. We're investing into our workforce so heavily that you don't need experience going in. There are so many training opportunities where you can get a job right away and you can get upskilled and you can get upskilled. And so I think the reputation is maybe that these might be jobs that were less than desirable. Like if we imagine, back in the day in the 50s or something, but they're highly sought after and they're really great paying and earning potential and growth types of jobs.
So I lived in Europe at one point. I lived in Austria, and there in their schools, and other people have talked about this as well. When you're 16 years old, actually you make the decision earlier, but when you're 16 years old, you either go on to a university prep or you go and you start an apprenticeship. And so say you're somebody who works with your hands, which I'm not, but say you're somebody who works with your hands, then you get to work under a master, whatever, goldsmith or plumber or carpenter or whatever, and you learn how to do it really well because you're in that environment. And there's no stigma attached to choosing to work with your hands. Somehow in the United States, you say that the jobs are less desirable. The, manufacturing jobs have always been great. If you're with a good company, and what we had got in our heads that everybody had to go the 4-year college route, and to the detriment of the kids who are really good with their hands. You can only pound a square peg into a round hole so many times. Find that square hole, and that's where that person should be. And I feel bad. I cut you off, Dennis, and I know you were going to jump in.
No. I just wanted to piggyback on what Cinnamon was saying about those jobs. There's so many jobs that are available in manufacturing. And when you think manufacturing, you may be just thinking of making things, but there's departments like prototyping when you're designing and developing and you're using those skills. When you go into production and you're actually manufacturing or testing, in testing, there's quality assurance, there's ISO certifications, there's regulations you need to follow. Then you get into logistics. There's all kinds of transportation and logistics and supplying, scouting, and finding all those parts. So you could be a part of the logistics team. There's support, there's development, there's design. There's so many different types of positions in manufacturing. And you know what people don't think in manufacturing, and what I'm an advocate of, is females in manufacturing. Women are largely underrepresented in the manufacturing industry. And when you're thinking about ISO and quality, natural analytical people are women. And I love to see women get more involved and interested in career paths in manufacturing.
Well, and now you got me really excited, Dennis, in multiple levels, because I was the girl that wanted to play with the power tools. I built all of my own trade show exhibits when I started my company.
Wow.
I remember being at a trade show one time and I was up on a ladder because I was doing it by myself. The entrepreneurial stories. I go to this trade show, I'm building my display, and I was startup, so I didn't have any help. So I had like the dress rehearsal before I went out to do the show. I'm up on a ladder and I have, all my power tools strapped around my waist. And I look down at this ladder and there's all these men looking at me. And at first I thought, what? They've never seen a woman on a ladder before?
No, they probably haven't.
Well, but then they
or
said,
maybe not.
Hey, is this your business? And I said, why would you ask me that? And they said, because we've never seen somebody work so hard. But to be honest, I wanted to be an artist. I was a student who wanted a creative outlet. And I paid a lot of money to go to school in design, not knowing what manufacturing was at all. And I wish I could have gone straight into manufacturing. Instead, I went all around the roundabout. Can I major in graphic design? What kind of design can I do? And how can I make a living? Because we have stigmas, like you said. I also had the stigma of, I can't be a poor, starving artist. Well, I became a maker and I'm not poor and starving. So whatever that preconceived notion is that kids have, I hope they just throw it out the window.
Exactly. And Cinnamon, we've got all these apprenticeship programs in San Bernardino County and apprenticeship. And our manufacturers are looking for those bodies to bring in and help send you to school and upskill you. And you could work on your degree while you're in a well-paid manufacturing job instead of flipping burgers somewhere. I mean, we need you in manufacturing today.
Absolutely. And not that there's anything wrong with flipping burgers. I used to only hire people who worked in retail or food service because
they work hard.
Because they work hard.
Yep.
Exactly. So the skills overlap. Like I said, in manufacturing, you can do anything from making them to sales and management. And I mean, we have it all. And it's not new and it's not going away.
So, kind of talking about, figuring out, well, what is there out there? And pardon me, they've made appearances on my radio show and podcast before. I'm calling you we're doing this from my home studio, and I have cats. And so every now and then they'll hop in. And so if you hear a meow, he's just hopped up on the table. So, back to the question. Say that I just got out of high school and I'm a tinkerer and I'm like you are and I like to make things. How do I find a manufacturing company that's looking for help? How do I connect? How do I, what are you looking for in a resume?
Yeah, well, one of the most valuable tools that we have are America Job Centers for California. So if you really don't know and you don't have work experience, that would be one tip I would give to anyone seeking employment, because they can help you with the resume and all the requirements. And then we're so fortunate because San Bernardino County Workforce Development Board is investing into these apprenticeships and things like that Dennis is talking about. So that would be the first place I would send someone. Would be, we have in our county 3 American Job Centers of California. That would be the first place I would go. You walk in the door and they're going to set you up, and training and prepping your resume and introducing you to companies that fit your skill set and your desires. It's actually much easier than you think.
It is, and it's like a matchmaking business too, Erin, because not only is it good for you wanting to find that job, but it's also great for the business that's looking to recruit, employees. So the county is offering staff recruitment. They're offering business workshops. They're offering how to write up a resume. They're offering classes on how to do these one-on-one interviews. And I believe that's caljobs.ca.gov with all of the different job opportunities that are available out there. But we also need to think about what California is doing here, Erin. And you might have heard about how the governor has passed regulations on by 2035 with the electric vehicles, and how we're going to be that state has the majority of those electric cars out here. Well, because of that, we've got some amazing car manufacturers, electric car manufacturers here in our county. And we've got the people that are making the charging units that you're seeing pop up in all these, these shopping centers and stuff today. So we've got so many jobs in that industry, and there's so many places that you can go within that manufacturer to get started.
I had no idea. Yeah, I had no idea.
I just think if you think about your favorite things, they're all made.
It's true.
Right? Everything that's like, if you think about kids, skateboards, there are manufacturers making skateboards and Maglite flashlights right here next to me in Ontario, California. And we're recycling rubber from tires and making mats. And we're working in aerospace and building airplanes and satellites and lighting fixtures. And I mean, we're making it all, you name it, right here.
Well, there are a couple of industries that boomed during COVID, and anything you buy at Home Depot was flying off the shelves during the COVID shutdown as people were essentially nesting. I imagine you sold a lot of lighting in that during the last 2 years.
Let's just say we're heavily recruiting.
Well, that's bravo. That's fantastic. I love to hear that people are being successful.
Yeah, I mean, my industry, I feel that's why I call it artisan manufacturing. We're working with designers and architects and home refinishing and furniture manufacturers and partnering with them. So there's so many fun, creative outlets. And, while unfortunate COVID was, the good thing that came out of it in my particular niche industry was that people reinvested in their homes. So we did, but I don't want to just talk about that, like, what's the positive, the lemon out of lemonade. Manufacturers as a whole, there is a work shortage, and we are competing for people in our industry. And we know that. We're investing in, partnering with other manufacturers and the Workforce Development Board to make sure that we're offering the most competitive jobs, that we're addressing needs of childcare and health benefits and competitive pay, all of it. To be honest, we're competing for talent. So it's a little bit like the home buying market. It is an employees market to go out there, and we're hungry for you.
So they're calling this period of time the Great Resignation. One of the other lessons learned during COVID is, I don't want to do this job I don't like anymore. I'm going to go find something else. And so, let's talk about that mid-career person. Is there a place in manufacturing for somebody who just wants a switch? Maybe they've been a teacher, and the stress of all of the online teaching and all of the issues that came along with COVID, maybe they're just like, you know what? I want to go build something I can point at and say, I did that. And that would be manufacturing, right? So,
Absolutely.
Is there a place for that mid-career person?
Yes, there's so many jobs out there for that mid-year career person could come in as a manager or somebody who's got some of that people personality skills that could help lead teams. There's all kinds of leadership roles in manufacturing that they could jump into. And when you talk about, going to those big box stores to help, freshen up your home, I too went to one of those stores to get a garage door, and I ordered this garage door in April, and my garage door just arrived last week. So
Oh my
now
goodness.
let's talk about some of the issues that our manufacturers are facing today, and that is inventory and supply chain management. We're trying to increase our reshoring. We're trying to domesticate our supply chains and not rely on parts and supplies that are coming from overseas and in China. We want those parts right here, and we want to help attach and find those resources for our manufacturers here locally. So we're dealing with that continued response to the pandemic, and we're dealing with those continued response to the pandemic because here in San Bernardino, where when you think about the big major cities like Los Angeles or San Francisco, the hospitalizations of the COVID patients were far worse in these outlying communities because so many of these areas that we live in are impoverished or they're in large agricultural cities, so that we had the worst hospitalization rates. So that affected our manufacturers in finding and keeping that labor. Where our manufacturers are addressing the PPP forgiveness and the tax related issues, and how do we go about getting that? To what Cinnamon said about finding and keeping labor and being competitive there. But more importantly, to get those next generation people interested in manufacturing career paths, these manufacturers have to become more digital and more technical and more agile. So creating that interest of a manufacturing job not being that testosterone, greasy job that our grandfathers once had, but really smart digital approach to workplace and operations and creating that smart manufacturing of the future. That's what we're doing, and that's what's, I see your cat, and that's what we're looking for in today's world.
So as I'm thinking about advanced modern manufacturing, it is not the dirty warehouse floor. It is, like of the days of yore. This is all clean machines. It's 3D printing. It's, high tech everything, especially in California where we have to watch carbon footprint. We have to watch emissions. We have to watch all the things. We have some pretty heavy regulations in the state of California and how pretty much everybody does business. But I think especially manufacturing. Am I wrong in that? And talk about the work environment a little bit.
Well,
yeah,
we're
not wrong at all. It's the most exciting time,
yes.
I think, from a design and a manufacturing ability as we involve technology. I think one idea that people have is that, the robots are taking our jobs. Not at all. We have more of a demand because we're integrating technology now than we did before. So 3D printing and laser cutting and CNC machines. And it's not the old dirty greasy. It's just really exciting what's available to us, what's possible. It's like you're on the cutting edge all the time.
It is. And you know what else, Cinnamon? We're not shoveling snow out here either. It's a lot easier for us to move products around, and we don't have all those snow days that some of those manufacturers do back here.
Darn.
Of course, it's funny when we say, we don't get dirty. I still like to get dirty. So that's one of the things I promote is you don't have to come primped up and dressed with your, sometimes your business jobs where you have to wear your business best. I like to put on my smock and get some play on me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
There are a few of us where you still can get dirty, but overall it's not hard, laborious.
It's not the image we have in our head from Hollywood.
Those
days are gone.
No.
Well, and I think about, American consumers are pretty exacting. If they wanted a particular blue color or they wanted it a particular shape and it comes in looking different, unless your marketing all over the place says artisan, it may be slightly different when it arrives. It needs to be exact. And if you're having human beings making something without the use of machines, that's an impossibility. You have to have, I would imagine, robots making sure that those exact things are exact. Am I wrong?
Well, and you were talking about what's required when we're looking for our talent. So I can speak to my own company because of those exacting standards. And to be really candid, labor is our single largest expense, not materials, not our California warehouse, California labor. So even though we're artisans, the meticulous nature of what we make is really, really important. And then, yes, in a lot of manufacturing, we do have assistants also. But what you excited me about, and again, because it's in my own company, is that we have the ability here, because we're domestic, we can cater to our customers where they say, we want this color. We want this texture. So I don't know if you've even heard about like automotive manufacturing, this make on demand ability that we have when you buy local. It's not just the inventory. Don't think of inventory of pallet loads coming from overseas, hitting a store shelf or the e-marketplace. A lot of us are makers, and the discerning customer can have whatever they want if they're buying local.
That's true. You know, one of the things that I had heard about, and I've seen it, if you've been to Long Beach or the ports at Long Beach or Los Angeles, there are ships just waiting to be loaded. Apparently there are in China as well. And so this Christmas is going to be a challenge because, you know, you can want that toy and it may be sitting on a boat somewhere on this side of the Pacific or the other one. Let's talk about local. Are there toy manufacturers where people might be able to shop for their kiddos, or there, you know, is there a place where you can go and connect with those local manufacturers or sellers if there's a retail space that sells your wares, so that we're buying local?
Yeah, there's several programs. There's the Made in USA program that you can check out online. We've got California Makes program, all kinds of manufacturers that it's attached to the California Makes, and then the Made in California program. We are the Golden State makers out here. And we've got a lot of toys and tools for all of us in the community, locally, right here next door.
Mm-hmm. And then we don't make toys, but in our industry, there are other retailers who specialize in local artisan products too. So like one of our best customers is Room and Board. I don't know if you've heard of the retail store. They specialize in buying products that are made here domestically, and it's amazing. Tables and chairs and rugs and lighting fixtures. So hopefully as a savvy consumer, you know, your dollar is your ability. I'm passionate about this. Every dollar you spend is a vote. Forget about politicians. Think about the livelihood of who we are supporting through our work, and why not support a maker and intentionally seek that out, our neighbors and our communities, and create jobs for ourselves and our friends and our families. Absolutely.
Well, you know, this leads me to Cinnamon. You know, we talked about women in manufacturing, which is great. We want women to be more interested and aware of these amazing manufacturing jobs that are out there. But when I'm working with my manufacturers, they're not thinking of like the prison to employment, people that are getting out of prison. You can market to prison to employ, and I believe there's some tax credits that are involved there. And also with our mentally disabled communities, we've got several organizations that you can pull mentally disabled or mentally challenged individuals into. We've got our veterans. We could be marketing out to these veterans that are becoming civilians today. And a lot of our manufacturers, they just don't think about how to kind of target market into these, what do you call them? Demographics?
Demographics, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's great, Dennis, that you make it, because that's where I think we really want to be proud of our region and our county and our state, and where we reinvest. That the jobs, absolutely. So the Workforce Development Board for San Bernardino County, we have, and Dennis covered most of it, so I don't want to be too repetitive, but like we're piloting a uniquely abled program to train programmers for high functioning autism. We have prison to employment programs that are amazing. So if as a consumer, there's also the ability to be the do good component in the company that you're working with. And so we have that here also. And all of those populations are welcome in our industry. There are jobs. We know you're part of our communities. And so there are employers that specialize in different populations as well. So
if you're looking for somebody who's exacting, somebody on the autism spectrum, I'm the mother of a son. He's not a child. He's 26, and he is very exacting. He's a systems engineer. He's very, very exacting. He asked us what time it was and we said that it was 6, but it was 5:58, he was going to tell us we were wrong.
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, and so there's another subject that came up, Dennis, and it just happens to be timely because I was listening to some radio programming earlier today. So of course I'm like pro women, right? I'm a strong woman, and I'm like, yeah, women can do anything. But I don't want to neglect the men and the young men in the industry either. It's pretty interesting to see some of the numbers and where people are falling through the cracks. Mm-hmm. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, more women are getting college educations and they're becoming high earners. And I want to make sure that we don't neglect the boys and the men in our industry. This is a really great industry also for the men in our world in all areas of, what we have to offer.
Yeah, no, I get that. And serving the San Bernardino County for the last 15 years, I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to walk inside 1,300 to 1,500 manufacturers here locally. And when I walk into those manufacturers and I see just a bunch of men walking around and there's no women on the floor, nor are they thinking about that, I am instantly, in tune to saying, hey, and even speaking out loud that women are largely underrepresented in this industry. So as I work with these groups of men, one group at this one company, they hired a woman to come in the very first time they brought in a woman in their manufacturing career, and they put her in the quality department. And that's why I'm like, women are naturally very analytical, and that quality, not only did they achieve their ISO certification, they had absolutely no glitches to the system, no unconformances, it was a 100% complete certification process that we are all very proud of.
Wow, she knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the women are knocking the management roles out of the park. I mean, women are pretty awesome. I think that the main point that I want to make is to break down any perceived barrier, right? Anything that we say to ourselves that we might think that, oh, this industry isn't for me. Just forget about that concept at all. Whatever your heart desires, you're able to be successful doing that.
So let's kind of talk about the manufacturing landscape in San Bernardino County and the Inland Empire in a broader sense. You've mentioned kind of the numbers of manufacturers that are in the area. Do they feel supported? Are their needs being met as far as regulatory needs being met, or are they and this is very candid. If we have people listening who are in the position to make decisions or influence decisions, we certainly want them to hear the truth in a constructive way. So what is going well in the state of California for manufacturing, and what could we improve upon?
Well, let me jump right away into this question. And that the big one right now today is where we need help, and where we've got the biggest issue today is shipping. Our shipping rates have skyrocketed. When they're trying to receive goods, the shipping, they're paying 400+% in shipping costs to get their materials. Or when they're shipping their goods across the United States, shipping is such the big issue that the manufacturers are facing. Shipping is more than the
cost of the product.
Yes,
why?
Today.
Do we know why?
Well, we have a lot of truck drivers. We've got a lot of people that were not driving through the pandemic. There was a lot of people that just decided that that's not a career path that they want to get into. We've had some issues in rail. Of course, you mentioned all the boats sitting out on the water. They're not being delivered. Just shipping in a whole. I think that we were so far behind that things started to pile up so high that it's so hard to unpile that and get things. It's going to be a good another year before I think that we can get shipping under control here in the United States.
Wow. And I knew that, I think the containers that are sitting out in the ocean, a lot of that they're sitting out there because a sailor has COVID, or this is my thought, a sailor has COVID, or it's just taking longer to clear the goods because of COVID. There are fewer people, everybody's workforce is down. Everybody everywhere is hiring. even for really solid, good jobs, as we've talked about. But I guess I didn't see, I should have, that there are also those shortages inside the United States.
Yes.
And I know gas prices have risen in California, but and they're relatively high in other states, compared to what they used to pay. And I know that has an impact. Have you seen shipping partners go out of business or decide, look, I'm not working in California anymore. I'm going to Texas or Arizona or wherever else. Has that been a problem for you all?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, and I know that because, again, some of these preconceived notions about desirable jobs or not desirable jobs, logistics has been very hard hit. And so you've seen like warehouse jobs, they have a stigma where they've giving signing bonuses and bumping up pay, and people don't want to work in those industries. So I know it's just a very expensive industry. Also, I wish I had the actual numbers, but San Bernardino County is a big logistics hub that we serve the pipeline also for the entire country.
Yes, we are very much an inland port. That's, and if you add, Moreno Valley and all of the warehouses they have there in areas of Riverside, Ontario, all the way out to San Bernardino, because of the interstates, because of the airport, because of the rail. We have BNSF and Union Pacific here. It is definitely an inland port.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So, that garage door that I ordered back in April for my home, the garage door is stamped that it was shipped on 7/22, and I just received it last week. So, and this came from Texas, like 20 hours away from here.
Oh my goodness.
20 hours. Yeah. So the shipping issue, I lead a CEO peer council forum. We've got about 12 leaders that are running manufacturing companies here in the Inland Empire, and all of them are complain, and they rightfully so, about their shipping costs, and talk weekly and monthly about some of the issues that they're facing with getting the supplies that they need to make to customer demand. They can't get their products out because they're waiting for other. And then the prices are rising on a lot of those components that they're trying to get. So it's just a big influx right now.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say the supply chain issue is like a domino effect. Mm-hmm. So if we can't get raw materials or a component part, and then we're trying to expedite it from somewhere else, that's a big part of the bottleneck. And then these inflated prices where we were getting, first there were tariffs, and then there wasn't availability, and then we're paying for expedited shipping, and then there's mistakes. And
it's not a California San Bernardino thing. This is not. I'm not trying to say that this is just a bad thing for us. This is a bad thing for the United States right now, and we're really trying to get our arms around it and understand what we can do better and how we can move those parts around more efficiently, because everybody's trying to domesticate their supply chains right now. So they're all trying to get those parts from wherever they can, fathom to get them.
And again, just one more need for talent, right? I think sometimes people think that you're trading time for money, and that's not the case. You're trading solutions for compensation, right? So talent is providing value and service and solutions to these things that we're dealing with all day. So we need talent to help us come up with remedies for these obstacles that we're facing.
It would be really interesting if Sacramento, and I apologize, Dennis, just really quickly.
No, go ahead.
If Sacramento could convene manufacturers and logistics companies, or somebody with influence, convene a conversation about, all right, where are the holes? If we were to fill in these gaps so that we become self-sufficient, and maybe it's that we need a public information campaign about what the logistics industry. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar international industry, and there are warehouse jobs, but like in any restaurant, you don't stay a dishwasher forever. If you're good, you're going to move up and have other jobs, and whatever. And so, is there a desire for people to collaborate and kind of figure out, all right, so I can't get lumber, I can't get ball bearings, I'm just making this up, I can't get whatever, because my suppliers are, in outside of Shanghai, how can those needs be filled? Who wants to step up and start doing that?
Yeah. So yes, we are. I mean, as the manufacturing industry, we have Dennis from CMTC who is helping give consulting services to our industry specifically and helping us be more competitive and solve some of those problems. We have the workforce development department that is convening and bringing us in and what can we do in our industry. We have, as manufacturers, we have the Manufacturing Council of the Inland Empire who has happy hour, and we're sharing, as an industry, we're sharing information. We have, our industry has lobbyists that's going to Sacramento and saying, hey, we're having these issues. So there is a lot of convening going on for sure.
Is Sacramento interested in hearing about your issues?
Yeah, I mean, Dennis, why don't you
Absolutely.
take that as an opportunity to talk about California Competes?
Yes. So that's a great segue into what we're trying to do and what we're doing today. I mean, we've got a lot of resources and entities that can help our California manufacturers today thrive and grow. San Bernardino County has an amazing workforce development team. And this team, they provide all kinds of on-the-job training funds. They offer business consulting. They offer process improvement consulting. They help, like I said before, with staff recruitment, with layoff prevention services, business workshops. It just goes on and on and on with how they can support you. Then you've got partners like what we were speaking of, the Manufacturers Council. We've got CMTC, who works directly. CMTC is part of a nationwide network. There's a center in every single state under the Department of Commerce's Manufacturers Extension Partnership Program. So every state has an MEP, and the MEP in California is CMTC. So we've got CMTC helping to our manufacturers with training opportunities, and we've got the CMTA up in Sacramento that helps on the legislative side of supporting businesses. But we've got some great opportunities to support our manufacturers today. Through CMTC, we've got some funding that we can allow and use towards process improvement to help you expand your international trade and your sales, international growth. And then this California Competes that Cinnamon was just speaking of, this is a total of $120 million in grant funds that are going to be available in 2021, 2022 fiscal year. The maximum grant award is going to be $36 million per business. Now, there's 3 criteria to this business if you want to, apply for this. You will now there's 3, so let's pay attention. The third one is the most important that really stands out to me here in San Bernardino. So the first one's create at least 500 new jobs in California. The second one is to make capital investments of your plant at least $10 million. But the third one here is you're a manufacturing company in a high unemployment or poverty area as defined in the California Competes regulations. That is a lot of San Bernardino County.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes, ding, ding. Exactly. So the application period begins on January 3rd for this funding. And you can learn a lot more about this at business.ca.gov. Again, that's business.ca.gov. You can get all kinds of information about this California Competes grant fund. It opens up on January 3rd, and you have until January 24th to apply for these dollars. And San Bernardino County, we want to help these businesses get these grants in and help you get this funding and support at your company. So please reach out to the San Bernardino County Workforce Development Board, to California Competes directly, to the GoBiz office in Sacramento. We're here to help you.
If you're a business owner listening, you can reach out also to San Bernardino County Economic Development. We're giving you lots of resources, but if you go to the county workforce development or economic development, they can help get you to the right people.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking about there's enterprise zones in the state in San Bernardino. Like I think the city of San Bernardino is all enterprise zones, and so there are incentives for putting your manufacturing business in places beyond this grant, which is tremendous, but in putting in places where maybe the residents have had a little bit more difficult time. But you also, the good news, the thing that I have noticed working in San Bernardino is that the people in the area, they want to work. They want an opportunity to have that good job for their families and be able to stay next to their families. I don't want to have to move away to be able to earn a living. And so I think that you'll find a willingness of people to get on board and get to work.
Mm-hmm. And businesses are moving east to San Bernardino County because the land is more affordable and there's a working population that's ready to go to work. So we have really the best of both worlds to prosper.
It sounds wonderful. So this coming, I think it's Friday, October 1st. Is that Friday? It is. Isn't that Manufacturing Day?
Yay, ding, 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 ding. It's actually Manufacturing Month. October is National Manufacturing Month. This year, we will celebrate the 10th year of manufacturing, supporting our manufacturing. And the purpose of that day is just to invigorate and inspire folks into manufacturing career paths. Pre-pandemic, we would have literally thousands of manufacturers open up their doors and welcome the community to come inside, because we want you to go in those concrete boxes, as some people call them, and we want you to see what's being made, smell it, touch it, get inspired by what's being made right here in our backyard. And so there are few companies that are opening up this year because of the pandemic and because we're kind of dealing with worker shortages and whatnot. But yes, there's a lot of opportunities to participate in National Manufacturing Month. CMTC.com. We've got a slew of workshops and online opportunities. We've got a partnership page on our website. If you go to our calendar page, you can see all kinds of events up and down the state that you can participate in. We've got virtual reality worlds that our students can come inside and become an avatar. Yeah. And learn from so many manufacturers that we have in the state. Because we've got some big ones here in the state of California. Northrop Grumman, Monsters right here, Hewlett Packard, Fender Guitar, Collins Aerospace, Avery Dennison, Armor Hammer. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about what's being made right here in our backyards.
I mean, I know I've just for vacation gone to tour some of these facilities. You mentioned Fender, really cool tour. So just in case people think we made this up, Manufacturing Day is the first Friday in every October. It is a national event. Every year it's a national event, all of October. And so then that's where our local manufacturers who are participating are opening. We can't wait until next year where we can all open and have more tours and bring school buses full. And we missed that last year for sure.
Yes. Yeah. COVID has changed everything. But the one thing that has been good, I think people are much more comfortable in a virtual environment. They're much more comfortable kind of coexisting with technology in a deeper way than they have before. And I know that manufacturing has had to go high tech for reasons that we've talked about. And so I think that that is less of a hurdle for people who may be looking for a career change or thinking about what they want for their job coming up. So yeah, it's an exciting time to be in manufacturing, and I highly recommend that. And if you're going to graduate this year, whatever, go check it out. Or you just graduated looking for a job, go check out that. What is it? CMTC.com.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And then there's videos and things if you want to get a sneak peek also on the Manufacturing Council of the Inland Empire's website, which is mfgcouncil.com, MFGCOUNCILIE.com for the Inland Empire, Council, inlandempire.com. And I was just going to say, get out from behind the Zoom cameras, everyone, and go make something.
Yes. So, and I have to tell you, I was not able to make it to this event, but my husband went, and there was a makers fair at the Loma Linda Academy school, this is before COVID, right before COVID, and people were out there with all this stuff that they make. And it was so exciting, and everybody loved kind of seeing not only things that you might expect, like jewelry and the small things, but there were also larger things, art and, just stuff for your home and that sort of thing. And those maker spaces, people really love them and love going to see that and to check out what's being made right here. It's very exciting.
It is. And we've got a lot of jobs to offer. I mean, I just did a quick search in Google on manufacturing jobs in San Bernardino County. And some of these career builders and some of these websites, they've got 726 manufacturing jobs that are available. There's so many jobs available out here, people.
52,000 manufacturing jobs in San Bernardino County alone.
Yes.
Holy
If you
smokes.
count the Inland Empire, we have 91,000 jobs in manufacturing.
Get out there. Do something you never considered before.
You can't say there aren't any jobs available as an excuse.
So we are running out of time, but this has just been fabulous, and I would love to have you all back to talk about your individual businesses and talk about things that are happening. And so, how do people get a hold of you? How do people reach you? Get a hold of you?
Mine is really hard. cinnamon@a19.com.
Oh, so that is hard.
You can't spell cinnamon. You can always Google it or go to your kitchen. Just like the spice, cinnamon at the letter A and the number 19.com.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And Dennis, how do people reach you?
Yeah, you can go to cmtc.com and click on the Contact Us page, and it'll drill you right down to me.
Well, this has been delightful. Cinnamon Alvarez and Dennis Sonney, thank you so much for joining us. And, congratulations on successful businesses. And October 1st is the first day of this Manufacturers Month. And I hope it kicks off a really memorable month for both of you.
Thanks for having us. So much fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a great conversation. I love hearing about people who are excited to do what they do and create what they create, and it's all good for the Inland Empire. If you're looking for a job, check out all of the resources that you heard about in this broadcast, because, there's good things happening.